Welcome to One Insight. My name is Rich Litvin. I grew up in London and I now live in LA. And this is a podcast for extraordinary top performers. You see, I've coached some of the most successful and talented people on the planet. I see what most people cannot see, and I dare to say what most people wouldn't dare to say. And what I know about success is that on the other side of it, it can actually be lonely. You can feel like more of an imposter the more successful you become. And when you're the most interesting person in the room, you're actually in the wrong room. I coach around insight. Life looks one way, something happens, the world looks different, and your entire world changes. It can happen in an instant. And this podcast is called One Insight because a single insight can change everything. Success has a challenge wrapped in it that most people can't see. The more successful you become, the more challenges you face. They're just higher quality problems. And you can be surrounded by people who admire you for your accomplishments, and they don't see the challenges that you're facing. Well, in a moment, I'm going to coach Georgie. And Georgie coaches what she calls stratospheric CEOs, the kind of CEOs and leaders who play at the highest levels of the atmosphere. A handful of her clients, between them, have a market cap of $150 billion. She really coaches high-powered leaders. And she's doing a research project, writing a book about stratospheric CEOs. And a number of them have been sharing really intimately their story. And she's wondering, well, what if I coached them? And her doubts and her fears are getting in the way. And quite fast, I take her to a distinction that shifts the way she thinks, and everything's possible beyond there. She talks about being in 4PC. 4PC is my community of extraordinary coaches and extraordinary leaders. And one of the things about being in a community of high-level leaders is that you can never get too big. You're surrounded by people who love it when you're thriving. And out in the world, some people are intimidated by that. But a community of high-level leaders is also a place where you can never get too messy, where you can make mistakes and screw up and share that in a way that you can't out in the world. I'm proud to know Georgie. She's a member of my community, and I'm excited to see what happens as she begins to build her community of really extraordinary high-level leaders. Hi, Georgie.
Hey, Rich.
We were talking before this began, and I've got some context for the background, and I wanted to cut straight to the heart of it. What I know about you is that in 2019, you were planting lots of different seeds that have begun to sprout. And now it's almost like there are too many. The garden's a little overwhelming. You have one-on-one coaching clients, group coaching clients, a book you've been researching and writing called Stratospheric CEOs, about CEOs who play at such a high level of the atmosphere that most people can barely see them. 3 of the people you're working with, between them, have a market cap of $150 billion. On top of that, you've got a mastermind group, you've got a leaders circle with high-level CEOs. And when I said, where shall we go today? You said, well, there's a couple of people who I've been doing the research with for the book, extraordinary individuals who you'd love to not only write the book with and do the research with, but coach them.
Yeah.
Is that right?
It is. And I should just credit it, it's 7 CEOs, not 3, that have done created the 150 billion market cap.
Still a significant result.
Yeah, it's still a big number.
So tell me, let me support you in this moment. Make it real for me.
So the conversation, I'm going to call him Edward, is one of the CEOs in the book who, what he's created is beyond my comprehension. And he's such an incredibly interesting person. And I've got the great privilege to have that inside access. So he spends time with me and I can ask him anything. And we're in such a trusted container that there's so much unraveling and so much unfolding. And I'm just there to listen. I'm there to listen, distill. And what's come up for me is there's so many areas that he would just benefit from with coaching. I'm nervous around, we've got an agreement in place, and our agreement was around the book. And there's so many times I want to butt in and just give him a powerful conversation because I know how it would serve him. But I don't want to cross-pollinate the relationship or cross-pollinate the conversation. And equally, I suppose I'm mindful of the fact these individuals have, you know, that they've agreed to be in the book with me. And I don't want to look like I'm leveraging that to then move into a commercial transactional relationship, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely it does. And it would look like a bait and switch if you suddenly started saying, hey, thanks for the interview. By the way, I should coach you. Here's how much it costs. Yeah. But I didn't hear that. What I heard is that you see this person who most people look up to and admire as an extraordinary individual, and you know that they're getting in their own way, they're holding themselves back because you're privy to conversations that most people would never be part of.
Yeah. And I see the deep insecurities. I see the personal sacrifices, the trade-offs. I see the vulnerabilities. I see the rawness. I see the mask come off. And that's taken time to create that container. And I'm just mindful of the fact, like, where do I've kind of planted a few seeds about coaching, but I think I've planted the seeds, but I don't think it's necessarily been received in that way. So so
here's the thing, Georgie, about super successful people who play at the level you're talking about, ultra high net worth individuals. They are filtering all the time because almost everybody they come into contact with wants something from them. Yeah. So there's two ways past that. One is to be the person who wants nothing from them. Yeah. Create that really clear agreement, never break that ever. And the other is to be absolutely and brutally and frank in your honesty. Hey, Edward, we have a really clear agreement. I will never, ever offer to work with you because I have trust is really important. Integrity is really important to me. And I can't hold myself back. So after I've said this, if you say, that's not of interest, we're done. I'll never mention it again. But I hear things that you say I know you don't share with anybody else. I know the struggles that you have that you cannot, should not let your investors, your board of directors, your direct reports, even your husband, wife, or kids know about. And I hear it. And because I work with really high-level leaders, I'm a trusted advisor to people like that. I can't not ask you this.
Yeah.
And the question I have to ask you is, would you like at some point, and maybe never is fine, or maybe in a year is fine, but would you like at some point to sit in a room with me where instead of putting our attention on the book, both of us put our attention on one thing, and that's the way that you think. Because the way that you think has created extraordinary results for you. And my experience of working with high-level leaders like you is the way that you think is also going to get in your own way. And the two of us could put our attention on one singular thing, the way that you think.
Yeah, that's powerful. I feel when you gave me, you talked through the two options there, that the second one, I wouldn't be serving him, and I wouldn't be, I've got to put it out there. I've got to put it out there because if I look at what's possible and what he's created without coaching, like what the frick's possible with coaching? I mean, seriously, it's, and because we've got this trust now, my other concern actually is having spent time with these individuals weekly, there are friendships beginning to form. Because they're trusting me, and we have a bit of a giggle at the beginning of the conversation, and it's light and it's fun and it's enjoyable. And my other concern is I'm mindful of that relationship, because if I wanted to move into a coaching relationship, I feel like there's the boundary setting there. So because if the friendship piece, if friendships do form, then I don't know then if you can serve someone as powerfully.
Well, I've coached friends, and how I've done it is I've created watertight agreements with them. I coached a friend who I fired as a client, and our friendship grew because of it, because of the clarity in the agreement that we had. So that's a future conversation. Even when someone says, yeah, I'd love to have that, then you get really clear. Okay, before we do, we need to do this. We have a relationship here where we're working on a book together. We have another relationship that feels like a friendship that's growing. If you and I walk into a room as coach and client in that moment, paid or otherwise, then I'm like your friend who's a surgeon. If your friend's a surgeon, they don't say, hey, we're at a party, roll up your leg, let me see your knee because it's painful. They say, book an appointment with my assistant. I'll see you on Monday morning at the office. Yeah. And when you walk into that office, your friend who's a surgeon doesn't say, oh, you'll be okay, son. You can walk around on that leg. They say, let me tell you my professional opinion, the way that they do out in the world. You need to know before you say yes, here's what I require of you. Those words are a game changer because they put you into the seat of being a full-on professional, Georgie. And these people are craving that. They're surrounded by sycophants, people who are obsequious, people who they know are saying things to get what they want. And the moment you do not be that person, the game changes. They will trust you. They will trust you for speaking your truth. Some might say no, they all might say no, but they'll trust you if you say, I can't not make this invitation to you.
Yeah. Yeah, that feels so powerful. And it's interesting the distinction you made, and I've been very mindful of this from the time in 4PC. It's look at what everyone else is doing and do something differently, which is where when I've approached these individuals, I'm not attached to the outcome as to whether they want to work with me or whether they want it to be in the book. And I've gone in and I've gone and met them powerfully peer to peer. And 4PC has got me to that place. If you take me back to January 2020, and I'd have been having those conversations with them, I wouldn't be where I'm at now. It's 4PC that's given me that power, that strength to be like, you know what, anything is possible. Believe in yourself, own the headlines of your life. And what's been fascinating for me is the more I've coached and these types of individuals and worked with them on the book, I recognize the mirror of the qualities. You've always talked about your best client or your clients, the mirror back at you. And I've never have noticed that or recognized that in these individuals before. And now I see it. I see the grit, the determination, the passion, the drive, the do whatever it takes. And that's been such a revelation. And it's all these statements that you make that get me reflecting and get me thinking. And it's got me to this place and mindset where I can walk in powerfully. And if they don't want to work with me, I'm okay with that. I'm not needy. And that feels operating from a place of strength. And then it feels like you're working with people because there's truly a want and a desire from both sides. Like you're kind of both in, all in.
There's nothing I can add to that. That was very powerfully articulated, and it speaks to when you play that big game, you surround yourself. So what I do in 4PC, I curate an extraordinary community of people who challenge each other. We're out in the world. You have people saying, wow, I'm admiring what you've accomplished. You can walk in here and realize, oh, I could be playing bigger. I didn't realize. Or in a very safe place, you can mess up and feel okay to mess up. Whereas out in the world, that's not okay. It's exactly what you're creating with your community. You articulated it really well. I look forward to hearing more about this community of stratospheric CEOs as time goes on.
Yeah. And it's just to pick up on that, it's the up-leveling. You talk about the 4PC community, it's the up-leveling. And that's the game I want to play with my clients as well. It's about helping them up-level because they can't necessarily see what's possible for them yet because they've created such success. So it's about me, exactly the journey I've been on, about them seeing what is truly possible for themselves.
The original working title of the book that I'm working on was The Paradox of Success. It's exactly what you described. The success paradox describes the fact that when you become ultra successful, your very success gets in the way. Yeah. And almost no one on the planet can see it when they play at the level that they're at. I heard a billionaire once say that the problem with millionaires is they don't dream big enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get to be that person for your people.
Yeah. And it feels good. it just feels like, I've just had the most incredible experience. And when you set your intentions and you set your vision, it's incredible how things can unfold.
Thanks, Georgie. It was fun working with you.
Yeah, thanks for that, Rich.
For most of human history, it wasn't called coaching, it was called leadership. And it's what I love to do, to coach people, to lead people, and to mess with people's thinking. If you'd like more of this, or if you'd like to learn more about our community of extraordinary top performers, go to richlitvin.com/oneinsight.